Okay, you're going to see my back a lot, but I got a nice back. Anyway, select a limb that you would rather not have on the tree to start with. It might die, and if it does, then you haven't wasted anything. This plant obviously doesn't need this limb anymore. It may have needed it when it first started, but it doesn't need this. So when I airlay this, I'm going to cut it off here when it's got roots. It takes about 3 months, and then I'll pot it. Okay, what you do is you get a box knife. Any knife will work. I like box knives because they're more flexible than I am. They'll reach around the limb, and I can't do that. So what you do is you girt the limb like this with the box knife. Don't really bear down on the knife. You only want to go through that bark and not through the limb itself. Here in Hawaii, I guarantee if you bear down on it, the wind's going to take it off, because we get lots of wind all the time. So just make a shallow cut. Okay, then you take the bark off. Getting the bark off is the most important part of this process. See how nice and easy it come off? Hopefully it'll all come off. Okay, you see how nice and easy that came off? If it's fairly young limb, it'll come off pretty easy. You don't want to tear this bark here, especially. If your knife slips and you get a little split down here, that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. But up here, it's important not to ruin that bark, because this area right here is where the roots are going to come out. Okay, maybe I'll get a little close up of that. If I can find it, there it is. It's about 3 fingers long. What this girt does, it stops the nutrition going down to the ground to make roots. It stops it right here. It can't get past this. So it wants to make roots. There's a little limb knot there. Then you take your knife. This is really important. Scrape this. It's getting all that juicy stuff off that limb. I'm always asked, how much do you scrape it? The easy answer is you don't want to take too much of the wood away from the tree, but you want to get all that slimy stuff. And this scraping should make it look like a dry bone. You get all this little burrs off of there. You can't have any slimy stuff going from here to there, because it'll grow back. So be sure you got it reasonably clean. There you see what it should look like. Let me get a close-up. It should look like a dried bone. Okay? The next step is take one of these packets, open it and put it into the medicine bottle, Put 1 teaspoon of water in there, shake it up, and then use that acid brush to take this solution and paint this cut. Notice I got a fancy brush. You want to brush this stuff on the top, get lots of it, put it around the top, let it really soak in, and then brush it up the stem into the cut area, so you be sure that you're getting that cut area wet. And of course this went all the way around because there's so much liquid. Paint the bottom, and that's it. The hormone is on there. You didn't touch any of it. You wore your rubber gloves. Everything's clean. It's done. You're done with this solution. You can use it for a day or two after if you're going to make more, but they recommend that you don't save it because it's no good to save it. After a while it loses its strength. Okay, here's the next step. This sphagnum moss, I've wet it, soaked it in water. You gotta wring it out and make it so that you can apply it onto the limb, and if you get most of the water out, it won't be too messy. You put it on like this, and if you squeeze it tight enough, it'll probably hang right there. No, it's not going to do it. Alright, the next step is to get the foil. It helps if there's 2 people doing it. The lady that usually wears the bikini and comes out here and hands me stuff in her bikini is busy today. She said she had to clean house. Well, I guess that's one of those things. Alright. Leave a ball there. Put this stuff around it. And notice how I'm rolling it in there and tucking it under. And then just tighten it up like a ball. That's an air lay that's done. I found that I can do 3 or 4 an hour when I was making them, and I was making, I don't know, maybe 30 to 40 a month. And not making them now. We have a new disease in Hawaii, and it's killing off the Ohias. Unfortunately, the Ohias are dying off, kind of like an elm disease or something like that on the mainland. Anyway, there's several more things you should do. You should label this. If you don't label it, you won't remember. This is a piece of blind. Pick them up at garage sales for 50 cents for the old blind. Put a twist tie in there. And you want a couple of things on this. They're also good for just labels to stick in the plants like that. You want what you've airlaid. In this case, it's a yellow, so I just write yellow on it. the date 4/25/16, and then in this case I use dip and grow, so I put D and G on the tag, and you got all your notes. You don't have to go in the house and write stuff down. When this takes, or if it takes, you know what it was, what date it was, what you used to do this, because there's rooting hormone and rooting powders, all kinds. I prefer this or number 8 Hormex. Okay, and I put this on there so I'll know when I take this off exactly what I did and when I did it. Okay, there's several things to keep in mind. If you think you cut that too deep, get a small stick or a chopstick or something, tie it top and bottom, and that'll strengthen your cut and it won't blow off in the wind so much. Put it on the inside and wrap it up with a foil. And I'm going to come over and take a close-up of this. This is what your air lace should look like when you're done. In this case, it's a limb that I don't want because the tree no longer needs that limb. It's looking better without it. It'll look better without it. So there you see what's going on. I'm going to send you the materials to make this, and it's up to you to do it. This is really a nice tree. It's got pretty green leaves, and on the tips, when it flushes new growth, they're always kind of a purplish green. When you see the whole tree flush out in the early spring, when it flushes here, it's really impressive. This tree alone right here would sell for probably $80. If it were blooming, I'd push it for $100 and then reduce it to $80 or $90. Unfortunately, because of this rapid Ohia death, where all the trees are dying, we are not supposed to share trees or sell trees or carry them from one side of the island to the other. And the Ohias have really given me a lot besides their natural beauty, so I try not to sell anything. I get requests for plants, and if I know the people and know they're going to take the proper care, then it's not so bad. I think these the plants that are sprayed with a fungicide and liquid fertilizer are strong enough to withstand this rapid Ohia death, but you never know. They can die anyway. They're talking maybe the whole island will lose all their Ohias. Okay, that's it for April 25th. I'll talk to you on the phone.